All right, here we go with game two. T1 opting to ban the Rakan, also going away with power picks Jarvan and Nico, leaving up Ashe for themselves, passing off the Orianna and the Kalista. Don't like that they're giving away 2 power picks to get 1. That's not what you generally want to get out of the draft. I'm okay with red side banning Rakan. We see an Akali to go along with Poppy and Rumble from JDG. Akali, supposing that that's the answer that they want to take away as Faker's response to Orianna, but frankly, every time that we have this opportunity, Faker takes Azir into Orianna. Now, Azir, less good, period. And most people have been going Hail of Blades to try to win the lane against the Orianna and get the push pile. Faker's been going Conqueror, so we'll see whether or not we get Conqueror or Hail of Blades in this situation. Another response that they could have gone with is the Sylas. They were sort of baiting the Maokai pick to go with this. We do end up seeing Maokai in red 4, which probably just a testament to saying, hey, we feel like this champion's like actually still pretty good. Tends to get picked first when it's available. I don't think it's that good. But speaking of things that I don't think is that good, Caitlyn Ashe, I mean, hopefully they're not going for Caitlyn support. This has got to be a Caitlyn AD carry, put Carrier on Ashe, and they're feeling pretty good about this, but they are not favored into this Kalista. Kalista should be able to run them over, and they could pair it with anything, basically, and have a stronger lane here. They could get poked out, but any amount of all-in will go for them. We're going to see Vi move into the bottom lane. Now, talking about the rest of the bans, Gwen being banned by JDG means that they didn't want to have Aatrox. They didn't want to be in a position where they wanted to pick Aatrox, and they would have to pass the Gwen. Instead, we had Maokai coming first. They grabbed Cassante for themselves, and they didn't want Gwen to be the answer really to either of those. Gwen would be a fantastic situation against either of those champions, so good job on the draft. They also deny the Rel, making sure that the Wombo isn't going to be there. Now, normally with Maokai Ultimate, you want to have multiple tools that can benefit from the fact that they are going to stack against you. All right, so we draw this every single time there's a Maokai in the game. Maokai throws his ultimate. Best response is to have your 3 semblance of front laners, right? When you have a Nautilus, especially type, when you have engage supports, you're going to have something like a main front line number 2, a secondary front line like a Nautilus, and then you put your carries behind this, right? So you have this formation so that it blocks, and you put these carries as far away from each other as possible to make sure that the Maokai can't deal the most. Well, when people are bundling up in this formation, you want to have something like Yone. You want to be able to grab this whole thing, the whole stack. You want to have Azir. You want to have multiple different options that can punish the stack. And we don't really have that this game. There's also no Sylas, so you're not getting that full counter, so you're going to be okay with Maokai in general. But I hate seeing the early Caitlyn pick. I think Caitlyn should be relegated to not even counter pick territory. Even if they had Draven, I think there's better answers. That's probably the only situation where if enemy team blind picked Draven, then you could take Caitlyn. Notably absent from this metagame right now, it's Kai'Sa. Guys, not that strong of a pick. She's fine. She's solid. Would have preferred to see a Kai'Sa over a Caitlyn, though, by a mile. Very bizarre to take these champions, red 2 and red 1. Kind of forces your hand. There's nothing left. What else can you do? You could stick Caitlyn mid in some really weird situations, but not against an Orianna being picked on blue 1, because as soon as Ori hits level 6, Caitlyn will die. So just kind of bizarre to like pigeonhole yourself, to like walk yourself where you only have this for the bot lane and then you give the option up. Seems bizarre. Now, as far as what we posited in game 1, that maybe Ruler wasn't feeling Kalista, well, we get that answered. They pick Kalista for themselves. Here, against this Caitlyn Ashe, they're going to try to use their range advantage, but the all-in will definitely favor Kalista. Now, interesting synergy with Senna. Haven't seen this in a long time, putting these 2 champions together. Both of them want to fight a lot, and the Kalista passive works very well with Senna, who's also trying to get some trades in. Hold on, let's watch this. Engage level 1, 130. This is actually delaying. We've got all 10 champions at the Raptor Pit. This is how important this camp has been. The Smite win goes to Owner. The rest of the camp actually matters, though. Who's going to get the rest of those resources? Senna is going to get zoned off. That is a lot of souls we're talking about. And we actually have multiple kills early to start this game. This is exactly what T1 wanted to start. And honestly, if you're JDG, like, yes, Senna wants stacks and Kalista wants to get this fight, but everybody else on the team is fairly weak, whereas Ashe is one of the strongest level 1 champions in the entire game. So T1 using the benefit of that, getting the range advantage here, getting that significant poke. Azir notoriously weak in that spot. I'm surprised that they were able to get as much for themselves. Now let's look at this position. We have a ward diff. Keria repositioning themselves to the corner, realizes that they have the help of Zeus, positions himself right here, so if anyone wants to come over, good response by Knight to stand in there as the camp is spawning, pushes them out. Keria constantly repositioning. You see how they just keep this like box shape. Ashe is always positioning herself on the side. Owner stepping up. Now this is a little bit questionable. Oh, it's because he hit level 2, that's why he went for it. He went for the flash W engage to get that extra kill. Now it makes more sense. But now that flash is gone, Knight also having to flash as well. They'll call that a very good trade. Keria using barrier, not something that we see super often. Normally we'd see something like a ghost from Caitlyn and a heal from Ashe. Barrier means that you absolutely want to get in the face, which can work in this double range matchup where you're going 4 ranges against each other. There's going to be a lot of poke battles, and you might have to commit a little bit deeper than you otherwise might. And in those cases, barrier can be really good. 369 gets exactly what he wants out of your normal stack. You got the 3-wave crash into a proxy. So he's going to turn this into an early recall for himself. You see Vi in the vicinity to help in case there's any kind of push, but they have the read on Maokai. Pathing towards bot. Now the interesting thing about Maokai being down here, if he's able to get this red and Krugs for himself, he's also going to be in position for the Raptor respawn. So we'll see whether or not he goes for that, or whether or not Vi is going to go contest. It is Orianna with Vi, so they should have the tools available to fight them. This is where Vi gets the news that Maokai's right in here, but it's a difference of smites. Oh my gosh. The smite missing at 24 HP was still able to collect it. That is a big deal. That is a harbinger of doom. That feels really bad. All right, you got to reset your mental. Now they see Maokai again, so very quick adaptation from 369, saying, okay, Maokai's down on red buff. That's perfect. I actually get to double proxy. So he goes 3-stack push, leapfrogs here, takes the next wave, leapfrogs here, takes the next wave. Now he can come back without actually using his teleport. Now, interestingly, for this matchup, we haven't seen this much of Ghost on Cassante. It is very effective. Oh, nice job by Keria. Hold on. You don't want to step forward. Why is she continuing this trade? Oh, Vi's probably can use the E to get 2 kills here. She can use the E and bounce it off of anything to get this kill. Ends up getting 2 pieces. Senna flashing. Oh my goodness. They're going on a nice edge. Beautiful first kill from T1. Vi was obviously in position to clear that up. Maokai's got 2 deaths. Vi's going to be feeling really strong this game. Already has a 150 gold bounty available for themselves. Now, Faker generating themselves a little bit of a lead. This is how we've seen it. All right, he did opt for Hail of Blades. We did discuss that he's been going Conqueror in most situations, and he has been winning as the Azir versus Orianna more than most. But he was doing it with Conqueror, right? And Hail of Blades is generally the way that you're getting more of those advantages. All right, let's see how this fight starts off. 3v2, Ashe harass. You get the root to start off. They're feeling okay, though. No flash from Maokai. They're having a tough time resetting the fight there. They end up getting it at the very last tick. Keria willing to bait. I actually love that. Now that I see it in slow motion, it actually feels a lot better. Keria willing to int. Psych can get a kill. Unfortunate barrier timing there. Now, Keria was thinking the same thing that I was, that Vi's just going to bounce the E off of anything, and as soon as she does, that's going to be a dead Ashe. And so she went for the prophylactic barrier, but that just meant that Vi could just wait out the timer and then go for the kill afterwards. So nerves are definitely at their highest. You know, I'm just reviewing the game, and my heart rate's up. Can you imagine what these guys are in, right? The game of their life. Every single time you go back to base, hit that reset button. All right, it's just like in tennis. Towel off, play with your strings, and then amp yourself up for the next point as it approaches, and then save yourself for those big moments. Guma's going to want that Q back. A little bit of a miss means that owner's spending a lot of time down here. Now, this is something that you tend to want to do into these Senna matchups. You just want to bury this champion. Make sure that they don't have any momentum to step up and go for trades. And if they can't get their stacks off, then they're half as good as they otherwise should be. So Maokai's trying to shield. No, man, Owner's missing a lot of things. You're trying to keep Senna as down as possible. Now, Senna's going to be inevitable. She's going to get huge. Just the way the game goes, unless your team completely folds. So Maokai's going to put a lot of that attention into that bot lane. Vi's looking to answer as much as possible. But because Vi got that early 2 kills, she's got that Caulfield's Warhammer, she's going to have a fast Divine Sunderer. We may be seeing her look to go for ultimates on top of Caitlyn. And it's going to be very difficult for this Ashe to ever stop that. Top lane is being left to an island. That's going to favor the K'Sante. K'Sante can win this matchup in a solo kill. One of the few matchups where you can afford to go Bramble Vest. You tend to want Iceborne Gauntlet, and certainly at some point in this game, it's going to be Iceborne Gauntlet. But against Aatrox, Bramble Vest has tons of additional value. So you can take that and use it for the extra Q scaling, and you can get plenty of damage going into those situations. Now, K'Sante can dash inside the Aatrox and try to bully the champion, but this is the part where we've seen through the whole tournament the top Aatroxes have been able to swing this matchup by playing cautiously for the first 4 levels and then starting to flip it for really at 5. And at 5, they're saying we've got enough sustain that we can actually battle through your short trade poke, because our short trade poke involves a massive healing outburst, right? And as long as they get that, and as long as they get that big chunk, they're going to feel like they're coming out ahead. Eventually, K'Sante is going to run out of mana, and that's what we get. We see a Biscuit situation where K'Sante is able to finally hold on to it, but not before Aatrox was able to just walk back to lane and actually not really lose anything. And not only that, but this wave's frozen. So despite K'Sante proxying early, which you might even say was the mistake, because that is the moment in the lane where you can dominate Aatrox. And so you gave that up for a better recall. Sure, you got the better recall, but was it worth it? You lost the window in the matchup where you're expecting to be stronger. Interesting gambit by 369. We can make that the strat chat call out. Hashtag strat chat. You can discuss, was it worth it for K'Sante to proxy the 4th and 5th wave? What do you think? Should they have stayed in the lane? Should they have tried to fight the Aatrox at the moment where they're strongest, level 3? Or do they want to skip out and get a faster recall, save their teleport, and to be able to use the teleport in a situation just like this? All right, K'Sante using a lot of the resources, trading ultimates. Vi's here has the ultimate where they're going to try to wait for this ultimate to wear out before they go in. It's about done, and once they're feeling it, once they see it down, they might go for it. We'll see if Vi pulls the trigger. Unfortunately, Vi showing up there for a moment means Maokai's going to go for a play down bottom. You see that Senna already has a defensive ward, so really good job by JDG getting a prophylactic set of... Well, sorry. These are the red saplings. Prophylactic vision to defend against Maokai's engage, because Vi's spending time. So necessarily when you go here, you have to give up attention on the other half of the map. That's exactly what JDG does. They get no harm, no foul. Maokai's not able to find an avenue for themselves, which is kind of surprising. I really think that they could have or should have forced it. Right? Azir, at his basic strongest point in this matchup relative to the Orianna, can go in, try to force a push. You can get Maokai helping the Azir to push this out, and then you move in together and you create a 4v2 in the bot lane. So a little bit of a miss right there for T1, not taking that. Now Zeus is feeling very good, so they're going to call that a trade-off. I don't know that they actually needed to give anything for Aatrox to get that much stronger, and the fact that Vi showed up top means that they should have done something for themselves in the bot lane. Senna's at 40 stacks. That's that first major break point. I mean, 20 is obviously impactful, but 40 is going to be when you start being able to contest with Ashe and Kate's range. It'll be at 60 once you start matching, and then you'll be able to take over after that. Now 19k dead heat. We do have a dragon in pocket for T1. That's the price of Vi spending any amount of time up top. You see that they're actually putting a lot of energy with Vi in the top lane. That's costing them the plates down here, and you may say that that's just inevitable with this Ashe Caitlyn lane. They've got this hyper range advantage against Kalista. But the fact of the matter is Maokai hasn't punished them. And as long as that's the case, you can count that as a win over and over and over as JDG. You're happy to do this. Even having gotten the Eye of the Herald for themselves means that they've got that extra 2 plates in mid lane. It also means that they get this first little rotation now. Faker going for the ultimate, trying to scoop into Owner's Maokai to get the chain CC. You're trying to use one into the other into another. So you go shuffle, scoop, you then go hold right here, and then you hold them again with Ash's arrow. You make sure that you dot your I's though, right? You want to go step 1, step 2, and then put the period on it, right? Like you need to make sure that you're getting each element in place. They miss the first dot on the eye, which means that they don't go for the rest. They do get Kanavi's flash, which means that they don't have access to flash ultimate for the next 5 minutes. Probably 410, because most junglers are going with the Cosmic Insight, getting the value from their flash right there. Zeus finds a flash avenue right here. Now Kalista's jumping out. They're trying to save Senna. All the resources are being used. Senna actually gets into a fantastic position for herself, drops a fantastic ultimate across the fight. They had to use everything to reposition themselves, and Zeus, unfortunately, having spent time trying to go on rulers, unable to catch. You're never going to catch that Kalista as Aatrox, and because of that, they actually lose Owner on Maokai, and K'Sante gets plates for themselves. So another big win for JDG. They use a lot of resources. Flash, ultimate, flash to reposition for the fight. The fact that they got 1 kill back was huge. They end up just trading junglers, nothing else. But now T1 should take this window and step on the gas. We were talking about optimization and putting yourself up to the right spot. This is that moment that you want. All right. Now things are fairly tense. We have an advantage. We're going to try to play for it. Now I'm going to rev up to 3,000 RPMs. I want to make plays now. I'm going to be constantly looking, trying to find these digs, trying to find any avenue I can, and heighten the awareness for the next 3 minutes, right? Try to take advantage of these missing tools, especially right now, this first minute out. The fact that you have access to more ultimates right now, you're going to be forcing this dragon in the next 30 seconds. So T1 looking strong, should be trying to get this Vision Corral. Senna does not have her Umbral Glaive yet, which means she won't be fighting for the Vision. Maokai is going to win this with the saplings, and I expect T1 to continue pushing up in mid, trying to get mid prio, turning it into the river, and this should be T1's dragon. Now JDG apparently is interested in contesting. They shouldn't be, right? They're second to the river. They're playing against Ashe, Caitlyn. They have to deal with traps plus Ashe ult, plus the fact that more of the ultimates are already up, and they still don't have Kalistas or Sennas. So they should absolutely be giving this. JDG correctly assessing the situation. Orianna picks up a wave for herself. Senna and Kalista are able to go mid. They're going to pick up that wave, and now they should try to turn this into inside track on Herald. All right, they should try to wall off a certain area. It kind of looks like sound waves as you move your Vision Ward line up. Senna can start taking some of these junctions away. Start with something like this. Next, you're going to go something like that and get those 2 wards out and try to create a sort of prism where you can see any direction that T1 would approach that Herald. Hold on, we've got a deep dive here. Big ult into big ult. Faker actually flashes to dodge the Orianna ultimate. That's huge. Repositioning themselves. What a guys, this guy is playing at a singular level. Wouldn't it be crazy if Faker at 25 were playing the best League of Legends of his life? Like, how insane would that be? Older than 25. 26? Is Faker 26? I have to go. No, I have to find out. We'll find it later. Anyways, able to get out of that situation, flashes out, even the Vi using the ultimate and Orianna's as well. Those tools being gone means that T1 is able to get another Herald for themselves. Unfortunately for them, the amount of plates that they hemorrhaged to the K'Sante in particular, the fact that the first Herald popped in mid, got 2 plates for themselves as well. We're talking about all those extra advantages that JDG got permanent gold for themselves. They only gave it up in the bot lane. And Caitlyn's going to go through her trough right now. This is the infamous, Caitlyn Valley, that you have this huge spike. You spike off of one item up to 1 item, but every moment from here until 3 items with Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire Cannon just feels kind of bad. Sometimes you go with Gale Force, sometimes you go with other things, but from Caitlyn, from this moment on, things just get worse until you hit 3 items, and then you're back up ahead of the curve. And looking at the composition, it's going to be tough for Ashe to create all this peel. Is Maokai going to be enough peel? We'll see. We'll see. JDG has been spacing very well. They've had clarity of thought. They've given up the minimum when they've been giving things up. They've been getting the maximum while there's been engages across maps. So they're actually doing very well, very, very well for themselves. And when we get to this late game stage, ease of execution is something that we always talk about. Aatrox is always harder execution than tank, right? You have to play for a very precise angle on flanks. And we're also talking about double AD carry, really 3 people that want to play in a front to back, which means that Maokai just has to hold the line in front of these guys while the flank is trying to buy some time to come in. It also puts a lot of onus on Maokai to get the zoning saplings out. They do have a long range advantage when it comes to these protracted sieges, but ultimately we're talking about Vi that has one of the best singling out tools in the available with the unstoppable onslaught. She can get onto somebody, and then you have the Orianna going together. Meanwhile, this guy's going to front for the 2 of these, right? K'Sante, these 2 are going to hold. So ease of execution definitely in favor of JDG. They should have some advantages going into the end game. Now, if we do go into a hyper scaling mode, obviously you have to keep track of these stacks. Senna's at 60 already, so she's going to start outscaling the Caitlyn soon. And you have the fact that the Orianna ball could just at one point swing any single fight. T1 should be able to space it. They do have that range advantage. And like we said with the siege, they should be able to keep themselves away from Vi. But do you constantly get pushed back, right? Is the threat of K'Sante plus Vi pressing up on your team enough to force you into a bad position, or do you hold your ground? All right, Dragon's coming up in less than a minute. We've got Baron as well. So generally and historically, in these sort of cases, although not in this tournament, T1 has been willing to give you a Dragon and go get a Baron and try to push for a significant gold lead off of that Baron. We'll see whether or not they make that claim. As far as what I'm looking for them to do, we do have the AD items. We'd like to have the Infinity Edge, but we don't, so that is going to be unfortunate for them. This is the right sequence of build for them. Once you get the Storm Razor, you have an attack speed item in the Berserker Greaves. Do not get a second item, Rapid Fire Cannon. It gates your damage way too much. You need to rely on your spells at this stage in the game. You're still not an auto attack maniac, so you need to be able to have impact on your spells. You need to make sure that your Q's hitting from long range and that your ultimate is chunking somebody out. The problem is everything's going to be single target, and you're going to have to lean on Azir's AoE damage for the rest of the fight, as well as Aatrox. Now JDG is coming into the southern quadrant. Very interesting. Are they going to try to hold this line of scrimmage? This is something that they don't generally do. They tend to play for middle, especially with the Baron up. Now, normally this is not T1's answer. They're actually going for this engage. I hate this compared to the alternative. We'll see whether or not they're able to consolidate these kills. Kanavi survives with triumph. Orianna ult on top of Vi ult means that they get the first 2 kills up front. Now, T1 could be strong. They do have a HP lead coming up for the rest of this fight, but they're not able to get anything else. Now, historically, when you do this play against T1, they say, okay, I will push mid and I will go take Baron. That is what they have done for years, right? The better part of a decade. In fact, almost an entire decade since Faker's been on the team. This has been the play that they've done. It's, the T1 gambit. Let you have Dragon, I'll go for other ones. And especially with this being Dragon 1, I don't know why they're trying to contest for that. You've got Maokai, Ashe, like sure you can get it, but you don't want to be reaching into their lack of vision. Right, the Hawk Shot's not enough of a tool. You don't have any of your ward line, your trap line from Caitlyn set up. In fact, now we see she's out of mana. Like in this position, your line of scrimmage is right here. Even though you see them, that's the end of your vision. You don't have anything more. Like let Zeus just hold this area. This is a force that is just way, way, way too far. Right, and now we have a vision disadvantage. You need to drop a control ward in this bush every single time. If you are fighting in this bush, 100%. Now they get it in, but it's a little bit too late. They've already paid the price. Now they're feeling advantaged, right? They're feeling pretty good right now, but it's too late. They've already lost 2 people. They pay the price for an overextension into the tri-bush. They were thinking that at worst, everyone's there and we still might be okay. At best, there might only be 3 or 4 people here and we can 5v3 or 5v4 and maybe steamroll this fight. So I don't mind that if that's the calculated decision, but frankly, comparing that to T1's normal game plan of, okay, I'll let you take the right side of the pit while Baron's up, absolutely. Would have preferred to see that. Call it a pretty big miss, honestly. Now, second item's coming out. Caitlyn has it. Azir's getting close. Caitlyn is going to be that carry threat now that she has that Infinity Edge. Definitely still playing for combos. Right? You're still not the auto attack maniac that you will be later. Once she gets that rapid fire cannon, which is almost definitely going to be her next item, then she'll be feeling herself and be able to play in that front to back sense. Right now, she's going to go for a lot of spells and using traps plus the net shot to try to get extra headshots. And of course, using the headshots to get the auto crit and use the amplification from IE in those situations. Now, Infinity Edge is overbuffed. All right, you can take advantage of it in your solo queue games. That said, still in pro play, the fact that it's not a modal item, right? You only play offense with this, tends to still be a little bit of a point of contestation. Like, do you always get it? Do you get it sometimes? Do you do Gale Force to reposition? How much engage do they have? Do I want to be able to jump away from a Vi? Like, if I was ulting, would I have preferred to get Gale Force? And it largely speaks to why Caitlyn's just not that good right now, because you still have to answer those questions. She's still reeling from the nerfs from last year's Worlds, right? And the fact that she's just understated compared to other champions, even though you have this long range kit, this is where you really feel it, where you just don't have that oomph coming on into these fights. Good job by Kanavi to block that. This is your job as a tank, as a support player. Get in the way of crowd control, get in the way of chip damage. Preferably, everyone dodges the chip. But it is your job, if it's going to connect, it is your job for you to take it, right? You've got the shield, you've got the extra stats, you're tankier than the carry is. You absolutely want to spend some of yours to get it. Now, Carrier using Flash and Barrier to get away from Orianna ult means that Vi gets exactly the angle that they want. Azir ult's coming up. Sometimes it's a hidden source of power. They do get one back for themselves, but Cassante kidnapping the Maokai and getting that... Sorry, no, kidnapping, was that Caitlyn? Kidnapping Caitlyn and then they get Owner on the other side? We'll see this again. Now, JDG correctly realizing that they've got the avenue to get the Baron for themselves, and Keria might try to harass a little bit. They do have a fairly strong Aatrox here, but it is level 5, not level 6. It's lethality, so he's very, very squishy. If JDG realizes that they can just engage onto Aatrox, they will gladly take this fight to him. I want to see them fight in one direction. Don't get caught going in two directions. They're starting to split apart. This will favor T1 if they can survive. Faker jumps into the middle of the fight, but it's a little bit too late. Ruler's able to get away. And now this game is well in hand for JDG. As always, oh my god, you see that? He bent a bullet. That bullet, hard lined. All right, here's the position. All right, Corridor of Doom is this one, but this one's just as bad. Maokai tries to find a little bit of a reach there, but what you're never going to get any angle here on Ruler. If that's the angle, he's too many spots that he can take away from his team. Zeus gets a little bit caught out. Cassante is able to get that really good angle. Kind of a yikes. Position, trying to engage from this wall is very, very, very difficult. I would assume that that is someone who's trigger happy, which tends to mean that we're talking about nerves, and nerves will affect your decision process. So right here, you want to consolidate this fight. You want to put everyone together. You want Faker and Zeus to deal everything together, be able to land it all. Reaches for this kill, tries to get on Ruler, ends up getting peeled. Good job spacing by the 4 other champions. You want just enough spacing to force them in or bait them in. Oh my gosh, look at that grimace. Could melt. Your job as Kalista, make sure that you're not caught up in the fray, right? Skirting the outside of the fight. That's what you always want to be. When you're Kalista, you're trying to dash and move around the fight in a radius, right? If the fight's right here, you always want to be covering this radius and saying, I can slide around the fight, sort of like Muhammad Ali in the boxing ring. You're never hitting me. I'm occasionally hitting you, sliding around, popping my left, jab, 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 and you eventually go for that big haymaker if they overcommit. Now, it's good to see Senna making it into someone else's hands besides T1. We'll see whether or not that becomes a pivotal part of the draft, whether or not we see Senna priority rise up for the rest of the matches, whether or not we end up pairing it with Tahm Kench. Again, hate this pick. I want it gone. I do not want to see Caitlyn again for the rest of the tournament, TBH. All right, the rest of the Baron is gone. We've got a lull state right now. All right, 20 seconds left on the buff. They're going to reposition. They do have 7k gold lead that they're going to look to flex. Now, they're going to go for adjacent lane pushes. All right, in this case, you're going to see K'Sante bodying for the rest. Orianna's going to be offered enough time to push a wave, and then she's going to slide back over with her team. You see how Vi's taking over this area first. You're the tankiest person on your team. When K'Sante's not around, you want to be the one that's going in first. You are the pivot for Senna. As long as you are somewhere, it gives her someone to cast Q off of. And if she can cast Q, she can influence the fight at a very long range, right? So that is your job when you're playing with Senna. You have to take a couple more risks for the Senna to have her power. If you're forced to sit back on the Senna pick, then you lose a lot of her effect. So it's very good to see JDG playing this very aggressively. They're taking more space on the map. Now that they've taken the tier 2, they might go for one more set of purchases, although they should only really do it if they're looking to finish this item. Very happy to see Orianna building Ludens and Shadow Flame, not only because they're the singular force of AP damage on their team, but not going Void Staff like we've seen in the past. You need to get that maximum health shield out in those fights, especially if you're looking at shield bash from the K'Sante. You want to have that massive shield on him. Give him the most power in the fights. Now, JDG is saying that we've gotten enough in the top lane. We put down some residual vision that's just going to hang out there. Orianna's taking some extra farm. We're not actually going to press for anything, but they're starting to move their ward line over here, which is designed to fight for the dragon. Now, T1's going to be offered the same choice that they had before, which will be a split map. Can they fork this situation? And again, they would love to do it. They would love to give this dragon, you can have dragon, I'll have baron, and then we'll push out and try to get all this standing gold on the map, right? There's 3k just sitting on these turrets. You'd love to be able to get that momentum for yourself. You're absolutely willing to give the dragon to get it. And if you can make any amount of permanent structural damage to the base integrity, then you can use that as a pivot to try to win the game off of. Now, talking about Ashe's role, very similar to Senna, you need to have someone pivoting in front of you. Owner opting for Knight's Vow second, not even going Demonic Embrace, means that his saplings are nothing. You can completely ignore it. When you don't go Demonic Embrace on this champion, it means that the saplings don't really do anything. Half the champions can just walk away from them anyways, and even if they did get hit, we're talking about like 180 damage. It's nothing. It's the Demonic Embrace that makes that damage stick. But we don't have that. He's going Knight's Vow to pair with a full lethality Aatrox. So this is something that we don't see that much anymore. A couple nerfs to the item sets and the synergies. Not a fan of seeing this in general. It's going to make this game even harder to win, right? What you're doing, you're saying, I need to be able to kill Kalista, right? And everything that we're doing is based on that together. I want Maokai ult to make their spacing predictable, and then Azir ult to scoop someone out, or Ashe to pick someone, and Aatrox flanks at the exact same moment. But if you can't create that perfect scenario for yourself, you're not going to get it. You're not going to find anything. Now, Ashe ult whiffing is actually a huge deal right now. T1's going to play for mid lane prio. They're actually giving the bot side river. I want to see T1 give the dragon and go get the baron. Now, if you're JDG, you have enough of a lead, you do not need to give them that choice. You can actually fight for mid. You can start going over here. You notice that K'Sante is going to take out all the saplings. They actually find the engage for themselves. They say, we know what your plan is. We are going to engage, head into it. What's the best way to make it around a trap is to spring it. They say we're going to go in full throttle, but Vi actually getting locked up on the edges of the fight means that she bites the dust, and JDG is taking huge chunks right now to the Aatrox, but K'Sante is just going to carry this fight now. You see the power on this pick. Holy crap. And the best part about K'Sante is the Senna, right? Moving together. The more aggressively you play on K'Sante, the more aggressively and the more it empowers the Senna. They don't need either of these picks anymore. I don't know why they're pinging anything. This game's over. Someone pinged this and team's like, no, like obviously you go here. But it shows that even at the highest level, people make macro mistakes. Ooh, they're calling it off? I hate this. JDG, what are you doing? You're making this game longer for what? This game is ended. Okay. T1 gets another chance. You know, their chances are slim. We're still talking about, you know, a 3% chance of winning this game from this position. They're just down by so much. And with the Baron gone, there's nothing meaningful they can get. Even if they go and race towards this dragon and get it, there's still, like, what are they going to do after that? Right? There's nothing left to do on the map. They will have the dragon. They would have to stall out and try to wait 5 minutes to try to get soul and fight from there. But you can see that 369 JDG is not going to let it happen. They already have supers going in mid. This is a mistake from T1. You have to give this and you have to take this. You have to give yourself a way to win the game when you're down by this much. And right now, by trying to close the door on top lane, you have closed the door on yourself to have any win conditions. So now JDG is just going to walk it in. You're still not going to be able to defend this. You just slow down the push, right? They still get to hover. K'Sante is willing to body for this. The cannon's going to kill. They've got no way to stop the cannon. It's not like they have a Blitzcrank or a Nautilus that can hook the cannon into range. And so JDG just gets to walk it in. Now, interestingly for them, like, they obviously don't need the dragon to end the game, right? They're just going to try to end with Baron. They're going to try to put as much pressure on T1. They're going to wait for the supers to crawl into the base, and once the supers are in the base, then they can make the decision whether or not to go for the all-in or go for the dragon. Again, this was all predicated, you know, or decided by backing off and getting Baron. They made this game tense. T1 has a chance now because JDG took their time. They eventually get it. They stick it around. They siege the top lane. Despite playing against Maokai, Azir, Caitlyn, Ashe, they're able to get that top lane turret, which means that now they're going to reset. They're going to do the opposite play, try to get Eastern Quadrant vision, and slowly but surely walk it in on the bot lane. In fact, they're not even going to waste time. The wave is so huge. They say, let's just put over 3 people. Orianna will hang out with the K'Sante and they'll continue pushing. Senna is at mark 128, so she's outranging everybody right now. I think 120, she's actually outranging Ashe's volley as well. I'd have to double check my stats on Senna after this, but you're going to see just the length of these Qs, the length of the auto attacks, putting out the control ward in a spot where you can cast off of it. You're going to see Vi and K'Sante stepping up forward. Now, this is a little bit of an adaptation. Normally, you'd put like K'Sante here or your flanker in general, maybe Vi, and you put 4 people in bot and you'd slow push this wave. But because you have this line of Caitlyn traps, you know, Caitlyn's allowed to use her kit. You just walk away from it. You say, okay, you've put all 5 of your traps down. We'll just walk around. We're going to escort supers in. We're going to put pressure in your face. 17 more seconds of Baron. And there are supers in the top lane. Means that Vi's actually going up top to empower them. You get 2/3 of this HP gone. Forces T1 back. And this is what I was talking about. T1 deciding to try to stop the push in the top lane just forfeited the game. They had windows where maybe they could have given themselves outs in this game, play for dragon, and put the pressure on them to say, hey, are you actually going to win the game on this push? Because if you don't, maybe we just win one fight at dragon, and maybe we get lucky and we steal this game from you. Instead, the job is made fairly easy for them. JDG is able to back out. They've got all the base structures down. This is their last chance to get anything done. Enemy team has not backed in a while. You had to force that fight. Instead, they're just saying, nope, we're not going to force anything. We're going to make you exist in this high tension situation. You've already shown that you haven't won the game when you should have won. You missed a checkmate on the board. So we're going to make you play it out. Maybe you're nervous. Maybe this is elevating your heart rate, right? We're talking about heart rates up in the 140s. Like easily, right? This could easily be the case. These people could be getting nervous. And whether or not this pays dividends in this game, which is probably boned, right? You probably have nothing left to really play for in this game, apart from a colossal mistake. What you are taxing is their psyche over time, right? This is mentally draining. The fact that your cortisol, your adrenaline is up at this apex level for this long, does that linger into the next game, right? We're going to be very sharp looking at how they come out in game 3. Now, if you're the coaching staff, right, you get 15 minutes with your team to prepare, to reset your mental. That has got to be the goal for that situation, for that window. In that time, you need to help your team reset their mental, clear their mind, make it very apparent what the plan is. You don't want to harp, this game's done. You just want to reset them. Your team has already practiced what it's going to do. You want to clear their mind and say, let's keep on doing what we've practiced. All right, you can do it. We don't need anything but you. Ruler be ruler, missing be missing, night be night. Kanavi be Kanavi. Like, be yourself. You do not need to do anything extraordinary. Just be yourself. You've got this. And that needs to be the message that you're relaying to your team in between game 2 and game 3. If JDG is incapable of coming down from this elevated heart rate situation where they had that high tension moment, the missed checkmate, if the coaching staff, for example, were to harp on them or grind on them a little bit too much, that could cause this catastrophic fall. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled on that for game 3. Good tools you can use: snacks, drinks, little exercise, stretching, small things that help your team. You see them using the hand warmers right now. That's how you can see they're nervous. Right? These guys too, right? Everyone, their hands are cold, because in tension situations, your body is going to send as much of its blood supply to the middle, to your core, right? You're supposed to protect your organs. It's going to release it from your fingers. You don't need your fingers in a fight or flight situation. You need to make sure that your organs are functioning, that you're staying alive. This is the body's response. It's what allowed us to evolve as a species, the desire to stay alive. This is true in, I believe, 99% of mammalia across the world. When you are in this spot, your ability to regain focus and to calm yourself down and to get back to the task at hand, that's going to be the indicator of who's going to get this game 3 done. And, winner of game 3 in best of 5 series, and true in tennis about best of 5 sets in majors, when it's 1-1, whoever wins set 3 wins like 82% of the time. It's a significant amount. It's more than the 75% that you'd expect, right? From just back-to-back wins. The pressure gets put in their court. You say, are you able to come back from this spot?